The mystery of the expanding universe. The universe has always fascinated humans, especially the idea that it's not static but expanding. Since Edwin Hubble's discovery in the 1920s that galaxies are moving away from us and from each other, scientists have understood that the fabric of space itself is stretching. This leads to a profound question. If space is expanding, what is it expanding into? Is there some external void, some outside of the universe into which it's growing? Or is our understanding of space and dimensions flawed or limited? To answer this question, we must dive into the very nature of space, time, and the structure of the universe. Modern physics tells us that space isn't expanding into anything in the traditional sense. Instead, it's expanding from within. This concept can be difficult to grasp because our daily experiences are shaped by 3D physical objects moving through space, not space itself expanding. The nature of space and time in classical physics, space was seen as a passive, unchanging stage on which the drama of the universe unfolded. However, Einstein's theory of general relativity revolutionized this view. Space and time were fused into a dynamic, four-dimensional entity known as spacetime. This spacetime is not a fixed backdrop. It can bend, stretch, and expand in response to the presence of matter and energy. In this framework, the universe is not expanding into a pre-existing space. Instead, the metric that defines distances between points in the universe is itself changing. This is an expansion of space, not an expansion into space. Think of the universe as the surface of a balloon. As you inflate the balloon, every point on the surface moves away from every other point, not because the dots are moving over the balloon, but because the surface itself is expanding. Yet, there is no edge to the surface, and no need for an outside, in which the surface grows. This analogy helps capture the core idea. The universe's expansion doesn't require an external space. Common misconceptions, edges, centers, and outsides. A common misunderstanding is the belief that the universe must have a center and be expanding into some surrounding emptiness. But current cosmological models based on general relativity describe a homogeneous and isotropic universe, meaning it looks the same in every direction and has no center or edge. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion in space, but rather an expansion of space itself. Every point in the universe is moving away from every other point, and there is no central point from which everything is expanding. This is why asking, what lies beyond the edge, or where is the universe expanding into, doesn't make sense in standard cosmology. There is no edge and no beyond. The universe might be finite but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere. If you walk long enough in one direction on Earth, you'll eventually end up where you started. Not because Earth is infinite, but because it's curved and without an edge. Similarly, space could be curved in such a way that it loops back on itself. Multiverse, extra dimensions, and speculative theories. While mainstream physics suggests that space doesn't expand into anything, more speculative theories offer imaginative possibilities. In string theory and M theory, our universe could be a three-dimensional brain floating in a higher dimensional space called the bulk. In that case, space could be expanding into these extra dimensions. Similarly, in multiverse models, our universe might be just one bubble in a vast cosmic foam of universes, each expanding within its own space-time fabric. In such scenarios, our universe could be expanding into a higher, dimensional realm we cannot observe or interact with directly. However, these ideas remain theoretical and are not yet supported by empirical evidence. They are attempts to go beyond the standard model of cosmology to answer questions that current physics cannot fully resolve. Still, they open up fascinating possibilities and remind us of the limitations of human perception when it comes to understanding the cosmos. Philosophical reflections and the limits of human thought. When we ask, what is the universe expanding into? We are often applying everyday human intuition to something that fundamentally lies outside our direct experience. We think in terms of containers, boundaries, and physical objects because that's what our brains evolved to handle. But the universe, especially at cosmic scales, doesn't necessarily obey those intuitions. In fact, it challenges them. It may not be expanding into anything because outside the universe might be a meaningless concept. Space, time, causality, all may have emerged at the Big Bang, and there may be no framework beyond them. Philosophically, this forces us to confront our intellectual boundaries and the nature of existence itself. Are there things the human mind simply cannot comprehend? Or are our theories simply awaiting better tools, better ideas, and a new revolution, as profound as Einstein's, that can finally give us the answers we seek?